Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the mysteries of love, faith, and divine connections. If this is your first time here, I'm so grateful God brought you to this moment, because what I'm about to share with you today is going to absolutely revolutionize how you see yourself and the love that's coming your way. Before we jump into this powerful message, if you've been blessed by any of my teachings, would you take just 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell? Your support helps me continue bringing you these life-changing revelations that have already transformed millions of hearts worldwide. Today, we're talking about something that's happening right now in the spiritual realm. Something so profound, it's going to make you understand why you've been going through what you've been going through. There's someone out there who completely gave up on love. Someone who built walls so high around their heart that they thought no one could ever break through again. But here's what's happening right now as you're watching this video. They're losing their mind over you, not in a crazy, unhealthy way, but in a way that's shaking them to their core, because you represent everything they thought was impossible. You see, when God is preparing someone to be your divine counterpart, He doesn't just work on your heart, He works on theirs too. And right now, the person who swore they'd never love again is having their entire world turned upside down because of the light that radiates from your spirit. They can't explain it, they can't understand it, but they can't stop thinking about you either. This isn't just attraction, beloved. This is divine magnetism. This is what happens when God decides to use your beautiful heart as the key to unlock someone else's healing. Stay with me until the end of this video, because I'm going to reveal 7 powerful truths about what's happening in their heart right now, and why this divine orchestration is bigger than anything you could imagine. By the time we're finished, you're going to understand your worth, your power, and the incredible love story God is writing through your life. Let's dive in. Number 1. Your light is exposing their darkness in the most beautiful way right now. There's someone walking through this world carrying wounds so deep they thought love was just a fairy tale for other people. They've been living in emotional winter for so long that they forgot what spring could feel like. But then you showed up, not with grand gestures or desperate attempts to win their hearts, but simply by being authentically, beautifully you, your genuine smile, your pure heart, your ability to love without fear. It's like sunshine breaking through clouds they didn't even realize were covering their sky. See, when someone has given up on love, they've usually built their entire identity around being strong enough to survive without it. They've convinced themselves that needing love is weakness, that vulnerability is dangerous, that opening their heart again would destroy them. But your presence in their life is gently, persistently proving them wrong. Every time they see you laugh genuinely, every moment they witness your kindness toward others, every second they spend in your company, something inside them starts to crack open, not breaking apart, but breaking open like a seed that's finally ready to grow. You represent everything they thought they had to live without. Your joy reminds them that happiness isn't just for other people. Your peace shows them that their chaos doesn't have to be permanent. Your love for yourself and others demonstrates that maybe, just maybe, they deserve that kind of love too. This is why they're losing their mind over you, because you're not just a person they're attracted to. You're a revelation of what their life could be. You're walking proof that the love they gave up on actually exists. And here's what's beautiful about God's timing. You're not showing up in their life when they were desperate and needy. You're showing up when they thought they were complete without love, which makes your impact even more powerful. They can't dismiss you as a desperate attempt to fill a void, because you're not trying to fix them or complete them. You're simply shining your light. And that light is illuminating parts of their heart they thought were dead forever. This person is probably fighting this feeling with everything they have. They're trying to convince themselves that what they're experiencing isn't real, that they're just imagining the connection they feel with you. But late at night, when the world is quiet and they can't distract themselves anymore, they're thinking about you. They're replaying conversations, analyzing every interaction, trying to understand why you feel different from everyone else who's tried to get close to them. The reason you feel different is because God chose you to be the one who would show them that love is worth the risk. You're not just someone they're attracted to. You're their invitation back to hope. Your light isn't just exposing their darkness. It's showing them the way out of it. And the most beautiful part is that you don't even have to try. You don't have to perform or pretend or work to win their heart. Your authentic self is already doing the work that needs to be done. God is using your natural radiance to heal wounds you don't even know about, to answer prayers you never heard them pray, to be the miracle they stopped believing in. Number 2. They're terrified because you make them want things they swore they'd never want again. There's a war happening in their heart right now, and you need to understand what's really going on. This person didn't just casually decide love wasn't for them. They made a covenant with pain. They looked at their broken heart and made a sacred promise that they would never, ever put themselves in a position to hurt that deeply again. They built not just walls, but fortresses around their emotions. They created a whole life philosophy around not needing anyone, not depending on love, not hoping for fairy tale endings. And they were probably pretty successful at it too, until you walked into their world. Now suddenly, for the first time in years, maybe decades, they're lying awake at night, imagining what it would be like to wake up next to someone who truly sees them. They're catching themselves, daydreaming about sharing their deepest thoughts with someone who would actually understand. They're wondering what it would feel like to have someone choose them, not out of desperation or convenience, but out of genuine love and admiration. And this terrifies them more than anything they've ever faced, because wanting something you've sworn off is like breaking a sacred vow with yourself. It feels like betrayal to their pain, like they're everything they survived by allowing themselves to hope again. But you're making them want to hope anyway. You're making them imagine a future they thought they'd given up forever. You're awakening dreams they thought they'd successfully buried. When they look at you, they don't just see someone beautiful or attractive, they see a possible future version of themselves that they barely dare to believe could exist. They see themselves laughing without walls up, sharing without fear, loving without keeping score. They see the person they used to be before life convinced them that love was a luxury they couldn't afford. This is why they're losing their mind over you, because you represent not just love, but redemption. You represent the possibility that all their pain actually led them somewhere beautiful instead of just leaving them bitter. They're probably trying to convince themselves that these feelings aren't real, that you couldn't possibly be as amazing as they think you are. They might even be looking for your flaws, trying to find reasons to disqualify you before you have the power to hurt them. But even when they're trying to protect themselves from you, they can't stop watching you. They can't stop listening to the sound of your voice, memorizing the way you move through the world, studying the way you treat other people. They're gathering evidence that maybe, just maybe, you really are as genuine as you appear. Because if you are, then everything they believed about love being impossible might be wrong. And if they're wrong about that, then they might have to completely rebuild their understanding of what their life could be. The beautiful thing is that God isn't asking them to change everything overnight. He's not demanding that they tear down all their walls immediately. He's simply putting you in their path as a gentle invitation to consider that maybe protection isn't the only way to live. Maybe there's someone safe enough to be vulnerable with. Maybe there's someone worthy of the risk. They're starting to suspect that person might be you. And it's both the most exciting and most terrifying realization they've ever had. Your presence in their life is like a key that fits a lock they thought was permanently sealed. And even though they're scared of what happens when that lock opens, they can't resist wanting to find out. Number 3. Your peace is disrupting their chaos in ways they never expected. This person has been living in survival mode for so long that they forgot peace was even possible. Their nervous system has been on high alert. Their heart has been in protective mode. Their mind has been constantly strategizing how to avoid pain. They've gotten so good at managing chaos that it started to feel normal, maybe even comfortable. But then you showed up with your calm spirit, your centered energy, your ability to remain peaceful even in stressful situations. And suddenly their chaos doesn't feel normal anymore, it feels exhausting. For the first time in years, they're in the presence of someone who isn't adding to their stress, who isn't creating drama, who isn't requiring them to be on guard when they're with you. Their breathing naturally slows down. Their shoulders relax without them realizing it. Their mind stops racing and starts settling into the present moment. This is foreign territory for them, and it's absolutely blowing their mind. They've been so accustomed to relationships that felt like battlefields that they didn't know love could feel like coming home. They've been so used to walking on eggshells, managing other people's emotions, and protecting themselves from verbal or emotional attacks that your gentleness feels like stepping into another dimension. You speak to them with kindness even when you disagree with them. You don't try to change them or fix them or make them wrong for being where they are in their journey. You simply exist in your own peaceful space and invite them to join you there when they're ready. This kind of love is revolutionary for someone who gave up on love because all they ever experienced was conditional acceptance. Your peace isn't dependent on them being perfect or having everything figured out. Your love isn't contingent on them performing or proving their worth. You're showing them what unconditional positive regard actually looks like, and it's changing everything they thought they knew about human connection. They probably keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for you to reveal some hidden agenda or secret expectation. They're waiting for you to show them the price tag for all this peace and acceptance. But day after day, interaction after interaction, you just keep being genuinely peaceful. Not perfect, not without your own struggles, but genuinely at peace with yourself and with them. This is making them question everything they believed about what they have to do to be lovable. They're starting to wonder if maybe they don't have to earn love through performance or keep love through perfection. Maybe love really can be a gift given freely from one heart to another. Your peace is showing them that they don't have to live in chaos forever. They don't have to keep their defenses up constantly. They don't have to expect the worst from every interaction. There really are people in this world who can love without drama, who can disagree without attacking, who can be present without wanting something in return, and somehow, miraculously, they've found one of those people in you. This realization is disrupting their entire worldview in the most beautiful way possible. They're starting to imagine what their life would feel like if every day included this kind of peace. What would it be like to come home to someone who doesn't create problems but helps solve them? What would it be like to share their struggles with someone who responds with comfort instead of criticism? What would it be like to be themselves completely without fear of judgment or rejection? You're not just offering them love, you're offering them sanctuary. You're showing them that relationships don't have to be a source of stress. They can be a source of strength. And for someone who gave up on love because it felt too chaotic and painful, this revelation is literally changing everything. Number 4. They're discovering that vulnerability doesn't equal weakness when it's safe to be real. This person learned to equate vulnerability with danger, openness with stupidity, emotional honesty with setting themselves up for destruction. They built their entire identity around being strong, independent, and invulnerable because every time they opened their heart before, someone took advantage of that openness. They've been living behind emotional armor for so long that they forgot what it felt like to breathe freely. But something about you makes them want to take that armor off. Not because you're demanding it, not because you're trying to force them to open up, but because you create such a safe space that vulnerability starts to feel possible instead of dangerous. You listen to them without trying to fix them or change them. You respond to their thoughts and feelings without judgment or criticism. You hold space for their emotions without making them about you. When they share something difficult, you don't minimize it or try to talk them out of it. When they express fear or uncertainty, you don't shame them for not having it all together. This is probably the first time in their adult life that they've experienced someone who can handle their real self without running away or trying to make them different. And it's absolutely mind-blowing for them. They're discovering that vulnerability isn't weakness when it's met with love and acceptance. They're learning that openness doesn't lead to exploitation when it's shared with someone who has integrity. They're finding out that emotional honesty can actually create deeper connection instead of driving people away. This is revolutionary for someone who gave up on love because they thought being real meant being rejected. You're proving to them that the right person won't run from their struggles, their fears, their imperfections, or their complicated history. The right person will see all of that and choose to love them anyway. Not despite who they are, but because of who they are. You're showing them that they don't have to pretend to be perfect to deserve love. They don't have to hide their weaknesses or minimize their needs. They don't have to perform strength they don't feel or happiness they're not experiencing. With you, they can be human. And being human is enough. This realization is changing everything about how they see themselves and how they see love. They're starting to understand that real love isn't about finding someone who only sees your best qualities. Real love is about finding someone who sees all of you and chooses to stay anyway. They probably keep testing this safety you're offering, sharing a little more each time to see if you're really as accepting as you seem. And every time you respond, with grace instead of judgment, with understanding instead of criticism, with love instead of conditions, you're healing wounds they've carried for years. You're not just showing them that they can be vulnerable, you're showing them that they deserve to be loved exactly as they are, not the version of themselves they think they should be, not the person they might become someday, but the beautifully imperfect human being they are right now. This kind of acceptance is literally rewriting their story about what's possible in love. They're discovering that they don't have to earn love through perfection or keep love through performance. Love can be a gift given freely from one heart to another, and they're worthy of receiving that gift just by being themselves. This revelation is shaking them to their core because it means everything they believed about love being conditional and dangerous might be wrong. And if that's wrong, then maybe they don't have to live behind walls forever. Maybe there really is someone safe enough to be completely real with. They're starting to suspect that someone might be you. Number 5. Your awakening dreams they thought were dead and buried forever. When someone gives up on love, they don't just give up on romance, they give up on an entire vision of what their life could be. They stop imagining shared sunrises and quiet conversations over morning coffee. They stop dreaming about having someone to celebrate victories with and comfort them through defeats. They stop believing in the possibility of building something beautiful with another person. This person buried those dreams so deep they thought they'd killed them completely. They convinced themselves that wanting companionship was childish, that needing someone was weakness, that dreaming of partnership was setting themselves up for inevitable disappointment. But dreams don't actually die, they just go dormant, waiting for the right conditions to come back to life. And you are their springtime. Your presence in their life is causing dreams they thought were dead to start stirring, sprouting, reaching toward the light again. They're catching themselves, imagining what it would be like to plan a future with someone who actually wants to be planned with. Not someone who tolerates their dreams, but someone who gets excited about them. Not someone who sees their goals as competition, but someone who wants to be their biggest cheerleader. They're wondering what it would feel like to have someone to come home to who's genuinely happy to see them walk through the door. Someone whose face lights up when they arrive, who's interested in their day, who makes home feel like a sanctuary instead of just a place to sleep. They're dreaming about inside jokes that only the two of you understand, shared memories that become the foundation of your own unique love story. Traditions you could create together that would give meaning to ordinary moments. For the first time in years, they're allowing themselves to imagine growing old with someone who knows all their stories and still chooses to make new ones with them. Someone who would hold their hand through sickness and health, who would laugh with them through good times and cry with them through hard times. These dreams feel dangerous because they require hope, and hope is the thing they protected themselves from most carefully. Hope is what gets you hurt when things don't work out. Hope is what makes you vulnerable to disappointment. Hope is what they gave up on to survive their last heartbreak. But you're making hope feel safe again, not because you're promising them a fairy tale ending, but because you're showing them that real love is actually possible. You're not perfect, and you're not pretending to be. You have your own struggles and your own journey. You're dealing with your own healing and growth and challenges, but you're real, you're genuine, and you're present in their life in a way that makes them believe good things can actually happen to people like them. They're starting to dream about lazy Sunday mornings spent talking over coffee instead of hiding from the world. Mornings where conversation flows naturally, where silence is comfortable, where they don't have to perform or pretend, or be anyone other than themselves. They're imagining what it would be like to have someone who actually wants to hear about their day, their thoughts, their random observations about life. Someone who doesn't just tolerate their quirks but finds them endearing. Someone who remembers the little things they mention and asks follow-up questions. Because they're genuinely interested, they're wondering what it would feel like to be chosen every day by someone who truly sees them and likes what they see. Not someone who's settling for them, not someone who's trying to change them, but someone who looks at them and thinks, yes, this is exactly who I want to do life with. These dreams are terrifying because they matter so much. When you don't let yourself want anything, you can't be disappointed. But when you start dreaming again, you're opening yourself up to the possibility that those dreams might not come true. You're making yourself vulnerable to the kind of heartbreak that comes when you dare to believe something beautiful is possible. Yet somehow, being around you makes the risk feel worth it. You're not just inspiring them to dream, you're inspiring them to believe their dreams might actually be achievable. They're seeing in you the kind of person they always hoped existed, but stopped believing they could find. Someone kind without being naive, strong without being harsh, loving without being needy. Someone who has their own passions and purposes, but would genuinely enjoy sharing life with the right person. Someone who brings out the best in them without demanding they be perfect. The beautiful thing is that you're not trying to be their dream come true. You're just being yourself. You're not performing or auditioning for the role of their soulmate. You're simply living your authentic life with such grace and joy that they can't help but imagine what it would be like to share that life with you. And your authentic self happens to be exactly what they didn't dare hope they could find in another person. This is why they're losing their mind over you. You represent not just love, but the fulfillment of dreams they thought were impossible. You're proof that the future they gave up on might still be waiting for them. You're evidence that God hasn't forgotten about their heart's deepest longings. And even though it scares them to want something so beautiful, they can't stop themselves from imagining what life would be like if those dreams actually came true. They're starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, they deserve the kind of love they see reflected in your eyes. Maybe their story doesn't end with giving up. Maybe their story is just beginning. Number 6, they're realizing that love doesn't have to hurt when it's real and right. The reason this person gave up on love wasn't because they didn't want it. It was because every experience they'd had with love involved pain. Love meant walking on eggshells, constantly monitoring their words and actions to avoid triggering someone else's insecurities or anger. Love meant managing someone else's emotions while neglecting their own. Becoming a therapist instead of a partner, carrying burdens that were never theirs to carry. Love meant sacrificing parts of themselves to keep the peace, dimming their light so others wouldn't feel threatened, making themselves smaller to make someone else feel bigger. Love meant constant anxiety about whether they were doing enough, being enough, giving enough, performing enough to deserve affection that always seemed conditional. Love meant losing themselves in the process of trying to make someone else happy, becoming unrecognizable even to themselves as they twisted into whatever shape they thought would finally earn them the love they craved. So they made what seemed like a logical decision. If love always leads to pain, if caring deeply always means getting hurt deeply, then avoiding love altogether means protecting themselves from destruction. But then you showed up and completely challenged everything they thought they knew about what love feels like. With you, love doesn't feel like work. It feels like coming home after a long journey through foreign territory. With you, love doesn't drain their energy. It restores it, refills it, makes them feel more alive and vibrant than they've felt in years. With you, love doesn't require them to be anyone other than who they are at their core. Messy edges and all. You're showing them that real love adds to their life instead of subtracting from it. You celebrate their successes without competing with them or feeling threatened by their achievements. You support their goals without trying to control them or redirect their dreams to serve your agenda. You love their quirks without trying to change them into someone more convenient or manageable. You give them space to be human, to have bad days, to struggle, to not have all the answers without making their struggles about you or taking their emotions personally. This is revolutionary for someone whose entire understanding of love was based on painful, dysfunctional experiences. They're discovering that love doesn't have to mean losing yourself. It can mean finding the best, most authentic version of yourself reflected in someone else's eyes. They're learning that the right person won't try to dim your light, to make themselves feel brighter or more important. The right person will celebrate your shine and add their own light to create something even more beautiful together. You're proving to them that healthy love is possible, that mutual respect isn't just a fantasy, that partnership doesn't have to mean power struggles or emotional warfare. They probably keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for you to show them what you really want in return for all this love and acceptance. They keep expecting you to present them with a list of ways they need to change or improve to be truly worthy of your affection. They're waiting for you to reveal your hidden agenda, your secret expectations, your unspoken demands. But day after day, interaction after interaction, you just keep loving them as they are, while genuinely encouraging them to become who they want to be. You're not trying to fix them like a broken project, or complete them like a missing puzzle piece, or make them your personal improvement assignment. You're simply enjoying who they are in this moment, and inviting them to enjoy who you are in return. This is what healthy love looks like, and they're experiencing it for the first time in their adult life. No wonder they're losing their mind over you. You're completely rewriting their definition of what love can be. You're showing them that love can be a sanctuary instead of a battlefield, a place of rest instead of constant vigilance. You're proving that love can be a source of strength instead of a drain on their resources, a celebration of who they are instead of a demand to be different. They're starting to understand that their past relationships weren't examples of love being impossible or dangerous. They were examples of love being offered by the wrong people. People who didn't know how to love in healthy ways. Real love, healthy love, mutual love isn't just possible, it's what they've been created for, what their heart has been designed to give and receive. And somehow, miraculously, against all odds, they've found it in you. This realization is changing everything about what they think they deserve and what they're willing to accept in their life going forward. They're discovering standards they didn't know they could have, boundaries they didn't know they could set, joy they didn't know they could experience in a relationship. They're learning that they don't have to settle for crumbs of affection when they could have a feast of genuine love. They don't have to accept drama and chaos when they could have peace and stability. They don't have to tolerate being treated as less than when they could be cherished as exactly enough. You're not just offering them love, you're offering them a completely different way of living and being and connecting with another person. A way that honors both of your hearts, respects both of your journeys, and creates space for both of you to flourish individually and together. This kind of love is healing years of damage, rewriting years of negative programming, and opening up possibilities they never dared imagine could be real. Number 7, they're understanding that you're not just someone they love, but someone God sent to heal their heart. This is the deepest truth of all, the one that's shaking them to their very core. The revelation that's transforming not just how they see you, but how they see their entire life story. This person is starting to realize that your presence in their life isn't coincidence, it's providence. You didn't just randomly show up at a time when they happened to be emotionally available or ready for love. You didn't just accidentally cross paths with them when they were finally healed enough to recognize healthy love. You showed up at exactly the moment when God knew their heart was prepared to receive the gift of genuine, healing love. Every painful experience they went through, every relationship that ended in heartbreak, every disappointment that made them want to give up on love entirely, every lonely night they spent wondering if real love would ever find them. It was all leading to this moment when you would walk into their life. They're beginning to understand that God allowed their heart to be broken not to punish them or teach them some cruel lesson, but to prepare them for a love so real and pure and transformative that they needed to know the difference between counterfeit and authentic. They had to experience relationships that drained them to fully appreciate someone who restores their energy and fills their cup. They had to feel the pain of loving people who couldn't love them back properly to understand the absolute miracle of finding someone who loves them exactly as they are, with no agenda or conditions attached. They had to go through seasons of emotional winter to recognize springtime when it finally arrived in their heart. You're not just someone they're attracted to, someone who makes them feel good, someone they enjoy spending time with. You're the answer to prayers they stopped praying years ago. You're the healing they stopped believing was possible after they'd been hurt so many times. You're the love they thought existed only in movies and fairy tales, the kind of pure, genuine connection they witnessed in other people but never thought they'd experience themselves. God handcrafted you for their hearts and handcrafted their heart for you with the precision of a master artist creating his masterpiece. Every quality they admire in you, every trait that draws them to you, every characteristic that makes them feel safe and loved was specifically designed by God to heal a particular wound they carry. Your gentleness was created to heal their fear of being hurt again, to show them that strength doesn't have to come with harshness. Your acceptance was designed to heal their deep shame about not being good enough, smart enough, successful enough, attractive enough to deserve real love. Your peace was crafted to heal their anxiety about love being chaotic and dramatic, to prove that relationships can actually bring calm to their storm. Your authenticity was formed to heal their fear that they have to pretend to be someone else, to be lovable, that their real self is somehow unacceptable. Your consistency is healing their fear of abandonment, showing them that some people really do stay when they say they will. Your emotional availability is healing their fear of being too much, proving that the right person will have space for all of their feelings. This isn't just romance. This is restoration of their faith in love, in themselves, in God's goodness toward them. This isn't just attraction. This is divine assignment, a sacred mission God has given you to participate in healing one of His beloved children. You've been sent into their life not just to love them, but to show them how infinitely lovable they are in God's eyes. Not just to choose them, but to help them understand they're worth choosing, worth fighting for, worth cherishing. Not just to stay with them, but to prove that some people really do love for a lifetime, through seasons and changes and challenges. They're realizing that giving up on love was actually part of God's perfect plan to prepare their heart for you. They had to lose hope in human love to be ready for divinely orchestrated love that surpasses anything they could have imagined or arranged for themselves. They had to stop trying to force connections and manipulate circumstances to be completely available when God made the right thing happen at the right time. They had to learn to be content alone, to be ready for healthy partnership that enhances their life instead of completing it. The walls they built around their heart weren't just protection from pain, they were preparation for someone truly worthy of accessing the most sacred parts of their soul. Someone who would value what they'd protected, honor what they'd preserved, and celebrate what they'd maintained despite all their disappointments. You represent the redemption of every tear they cried over someone who wasn't worthy of their love. You're the purpose behind every struggle they survived, the reason why. Every door that closed was actually protection from settling for less than God's best. You're the explanation for why nothing else worked out the way they wanted it to. Because if anything else had worked out, they wouldn't have been free and available when you showed up. This person is losing their mind over you because they're finally understanding that their entire love story was written by the hand of God. And you are not just a beautiful chapter. You are the culmination of everything God has been preparing them for. They're not just falling in love with you. They're falling in love with the God who loved them enough to heal their heart through yours, who cared enough about their happiness to orchestrate this divine encounter. They're seeing God's fingerprints all over your relationship, recognizing His hand in every moment that brought you together, understanding that this love is sacred and precious and meant to reflect His own love for both of you. Beautiful soul, if this message resonated with your heart, if you felt the truth of these words in your spirit, then you need to understand something powerful. You are not just someone's crush or infatuation. You are someone's answered prayer, someone's divine healing, someone's invitation back to hope. The person who gave up on love is losing their mind over you because you represent everything they thought was impossible. You are living proof that God's love stories are real, that divine timing is perfect, and that broken hearts can be made whole again. Don't underestimate the power of your authentic self. Don't minimize the impact of your genuine love. Don't question whether you're enough for someone who's been waiting their whole life for exactly who you are. You were created for love, designed for connection, and destined for a story so beautiful it will heal not just your heart, but the heart of the one God has prepared for you. If this video blessed you, if it gave you hope, if it helped you understand your worth and the divine love story being written through your life, please hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful teachings about love, faith, and your divine destiny. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that their love story isn't over, it's just beginning. And remember, you are loved beyond measure, valued beyond description, and chosen for a love story that will be worth every day you waited for it. God bless you, beautiful soul. I'll see you in the next video.